It is August 6th, 2007.
Yes.
We're at the home of Robert Sparling at 329 East North Wabash, Indiana. My name is Ashley Lichtenbarger. Attending the interview is Robert Sparling, his wife, what's your name?
Miriam.
Miriam, and his Diane Guinan. I'm doing this interview on behalf of the Wabash County Historical Museum. Robert, what branch of the military did you serve?
I was in the Army.
Okay, and during what war?
World War II.
What was the highest rank that you achieved during the service?
I was a corporal.
All right, and where did you serve most of your time?
Most of it was in Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France, and England.
Okay. Now, were you drafted or did you enlist into the military?
I was drafted.
Did you have a choice of which branch?
No.
No? Okay. Where were you living at the time?
In Wabash County.
Okay. What were you doing?
When I was drafted, I was working at the Ford Meter Box in Wabash.
Okay. Do you recall the first days of your service? The first couple days of training?
Yes. I think I was very homesick at the time, and it was in Louisiana on maneuvers.
Okay. Had you ever traveled away from your family very far, outside of Indiana?
No, never did very far.
Okay. What were the first days of training like for you, as far as the actual training itself?
I was on maneuvers in Louisiana, and I think the best thing that ever happened to me was the artillery commander driver was transferred, and they were trying to find a driver for the general, which was the artillery commander, and they woke me up in my tent and wanted me to come drive for him, and I was scared to death. I thought, driving for a general, how am I going to do this? But I drove for him the next 2.5 years.
Very
So
cool.
it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Did you have a car when you lived in Indiana before? Did you drive much?
Yes, I had a car.
Okay. Do you remember your instructors in boot camp and how they were treating you and things?
Well, with the position I had, I was treated very good, because this general really looked after me. He said, "I'll take care of you while you're driving for me," and the rest of the people knew that, and I got pretty good treatment after that.
Okay. All right. During the World War II, where did you go first? Do you remember?
During the war, we landed in Le Havre, France, and then went across France and Germany to Buchenbach, Belgium. And that was about a month before the Battle of the Bulge.
Okay. Did you participate in the Battle of the Bulge?
Yes.
Okay. In the beginning?
Yes, right in the beginning. We were staying in a big house in Luxembourg, and they woke us up during the night and said the Germans are coming across the field. So he said, "Get out right now." So we took off, and that was the only time we ever retreated. Went back to Camp Elsenborn, which was in the Ardennes forest. It was an old German army camp. And that's where we stayed. I think it was about 3 feet of snow and cold, so cold.
Okay. Do you remember what it was like when you arrived in Europe?
I remember as we drove across France, it wasn't long until we could hear it sounded like a bad thunderstorm. Just lots of flashing lights and booming sounds, but it was the war going on way across the fields.
Wow. Okay.
That was quite exciting.
What was the boat ride over like for you, considering you hadn't been far from Indiana until then?
It took us, I think, 10 days to get across on the boat, and it was a good ride going over.
Okay.
But we had a bad ride coming back. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, what was the boat ride over like for you, considering you hadn't been far from Indiana until then? It took us, I think, 10 days to get across on the boat, and it was a good ride going over. but we had a bad ride coming back. I'll tell you about that later. Okay. What was your particular job? Were you just the driver for the
I
general?
was a chauffeur.
Okay. All right. So having that job, did you see much combat or anything?
Oh yes, I saw quite a bit. Lots of it, in fact.
Okay.
One thing was it's quite annoying was these German buzz bombs that kept coming over all the time. That's an unmanned bomb. They couldn't hardly tell where they were going too much, so they bombed France and England quite a lot. But I was on the front lines for 190 days. I was on for 99 days without a break. So that was
A long time. So as the driver, were you part of a unit?
yes.
Okay.
I was in Headquarters Battery, they called it.
Okay. And did that battery see many casualties during that time?
I've seen truckloads of casualties.
Okay.
I've seen boarded in the back of a truck.
Okay. What are some of the most memorable stories you have and experiences?
It was kind of funny. Let's see. I lost my train of thought right now.
I want to be sure and tell you're getting the Purple Heart and your experiences.
Memorial. We were the first division to cross the Rhine River, and we crossed on pontoon bridges with planks laid across the bridge. And the Germans were trying to bomb us as we went across, and they had barrage balloons, they called, up and down the river. There were big balloons with steel cable fastened to them, so the airplanes couldn't get down low enough over the river and bomb us. And we just got across the river, and my Jeep was bombed with a personnel bomb, and it was completely looked like a sieve. Completely destroyed. So I got a new Jeep in, I think, that same day. But nobody was hurt that I know of. But that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. Did you receive any special awards or medals?
I got the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. And I think I had 6 ribbons on my Star jacket.
And what was the story behind your Purple Heart?
That was while we were at Camp Elsenborn when we first moved back from Buchenbach, Belgium. Just one German plane came over, dropped a bomb and strafed, and hit me in the arm.
Okay.
And but I was so many people said they have awful hard time getting their Purple Heart medals, but I had my Purple Heart medal before I was sewed up. That's very unusual.
There's an interesting story about when the general and his aide got out to look in that minefield there. That's a good one. And you decided to stay in the Jeep?
One thing I remember, the general I drove for was inspecting a minefield that was being cleared. He and his aide went, well, he wanted to know if I wanted to go along. I said, no, I think I'll stay there at the Jeep. And back in the field about, 500 feet, I suppose. And the aide stepped on a mine and blew part of his foot off. And a piece of the shrapnel went up through the general's helmet and split his helmet in the back, but just nicked his head.
Oh, wow. And
I thought how lucky I was that I didn't go, because maybe I'd have been hit. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my. Okay. We're going to move into the part about your life during the service, different aspects of it other than the military, such as how did you keep in contact with your family and your friends and your, at the time, girlfriend?
We wrote quite often,
Mm-hmm.
just by letters, I guess, was all. Just by letters.
Did you ever get any special packages?
Oh, yes.
And what were those?
I remember one funny thing. while we were at Camp Elsenborn, after we moved back from Buchenbach, Belgium, I got a package from my folks. It was a lot of cookies and candies packed with popcorn. The popcorn was for packing, but the popcorn tasted so good to me. I ate the popcorn before I ate the cookies. It was awful tough, but I hadn't had popcorn for a long time.
Okay. Speaking of foods, what was the food like for you during the war?
We always had plenty of food, just canned food or K rations and C rations, but we never had to go hungry.
Okay. When you were not on the front lines, did you have a unit mess hall?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes,
And was that okay?
Yeah,
as well?
we're good. We never could complain about our food.
Okay. Did you have any way of heating your K and C rations?
Oh yeah, we had little burners. A little oil, something you'd light under them and heat them with those little oil burners.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think what they were called now,
Okay.
but we could heat them.
Right. So you said you always had plenty of food. Did you have plenty of other supplies that you needed?
We never ran out of supplies.
Did you feel especially pressured or stressed at any certain time when your experience?
Not pressured, I guess. There was lots of stress. Being bombed so much, and those German 88 shells coming over us. You never had to worry as long as you could hear them. But as soon as you didn't hear the noise of them, that's when you had to worry. But they were landing close by you.
Okay. Did you have anything that you did or something that you kept for good luck?
I sent a German Army rifle home, and I sent a few little souvenirs home, but nothing I would say is just as good luck.
Okay.
Did you carry anything for good luck?
Mm-mm.
You want to tell about the perfume you sent home to me?
I sent her a bottle of perfume, Chanel No. 5, I think it was called. And at that time, it was awful expensive. It was about a month's pay for me. When she got it home, she broke it.
Before I had to use it, but I
Oh,
still
no.
have the box it came in.
Oh no. Well, how did you soldiers entertain yourselves when you had time?
I can't remember.
Did you go to France?
We'd go on an R&R, we called. We went to Paris, France one time for an R&R. I remember when we went there, we were never to be alone. We thought to be 3 or 4 in a group, and they advised us to carry our pistols with us. I carried my pistol in my boot. For some reason, I never felt as safe in France and England as we did in Germany, the German people.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to fight any more than we did, I don't think. And they were nicer, we thought they were nicer to us than the French people and the English people.
Okay.
What'd you see in France? Then you go to something special in France?
We saw the Falaise Berger in France.
What is that?
It's a, what do you call it, big,
It's a dance routine of some kind.
it's a dance
Cirque du
show,
Soleil?
yeah,
Okay. Very cool.
very famous
At that time.
time.
Okay. So you had R&R in Paris one time. Did you ever take any other short trips around to sightsee or anything when you had a day?
No, not really. We were always pretty much around camp.
And when you just had a couple hours when you were still on camp, did you play cards or play games with others?
I think we played cards once in a while and maybe volleyball a few times. I just don't remember that part of it.
In France, you got to see General Eisenhower.
During the what battle was it? What was the battles? Ardennes and Central Europe and one of the others. We drove across France and across Germany to a meeting. We drove two days and 2 nights without stopping. I drive a while, and then the aide would drive a while, and then the general would drive a while. And I got to see General Eisenhower and General Hodges, who was the First Army commander, and several other dignitaries.
Patton.
Oh, I've seen General Patton lots of times. Used to pass him on the road. He was the only general that made my general nervous.
What was the name of your general that you drove for?
General Black.
Okay. Did you and the other soldiers pull pranks and play jokes on one another?
I don't remember that part of it.
Okay.
We did.
Okay. Is there anything particularly humorous or unusual that happened while you were over there?
Oh, I know we had lots of good times, and I know there were several things, but after 60 years, I just can't remember.
Okay. Did you keep a personal diary or journal?
No,
Okay.
never did.
What did you think of your fellow soldiers and your officers?
Oh, they were great.
Okay.
They were great. It's just like one big family. In our unit anyway.
Did everybody get along,
Yes.
basically?
When he got injured, one of his buddies even wrote me a letter and told me not to marry him. He's gonna be okay, but he got hurt, so.
That was nice. Do you recall the days that your service ended? Not the date, but how it was for you that day.
Yes. We were going to get to come home for Christmas in 1945. We got 1,000 miles out of New York, and our ship hit a hurricane, and it was just wrecked. So we drifted for 30 days, going back the other way to the Azore Islands. And at the Azore Islands, we unloaded all the wounded and waited for, I think, 3 days till a big aircraft carrier come and got us.
Tell about on that ship how it was tilted.
But the wind was so bad, our ship listed 68 degrees. Now 68 degrees, that's clear over on the side, about.
Mm-hmm.
And it broke all the ovens loose in the kitchen area. And they would bounce back on the sides and then punched holes in the sides. The water was coming in. And I was probably more scared then than I was any time during the war.
Understandably.
They said probably the only thing that saved us is an old riveted ship rather than a welded ship. If it had been a new welded ship, it probably wouldn't hold up.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go back a little bit, but I wanted to know what you thought about the people and the places where you visited. You said that the Germans were more welcoming.
Well, that's the way we felt. I'm not sure, maybe that wasn't the case, but we felt they were more friendly and it seemed like we trusted them more, the German people.
Okay. And do you have any idea why you were feeling that way, or was it something they did, or was it just the feeling generally?
It seemed like in France and in England, you go down a street and people just be standing in the doorway kind of staring at you. In doorway. Remember people standing in the doorway staring at you. You never did see that in Germany.
Okay.
Since she's gone back a little bit, you might tell about the night you were in the Jeep and you went to sleep. Not a Jeep, but in a...
I was on the radio a couple times, and the motor was running in a weapons carrier, we call them. They were enclosed on the back, and the gas fumes from the motor running got to me, and I was knocked me out. And I remember some of the fellows came to the back of the truck and wanted to know what was wrong, and I couldn't answer them. And they pulled me down in the snow, and when I hit the snow, it kind of woke me up. But that's kind of a harrowing experience.
Yeah. Wow. And I also wanted to know if you got a chance to travel back to where you were after the war.
No, never have.
Did you ever desire to?
Yeah, I've thought about it lots of times. I'm probably getting too old now. But I think that would be interesting. But it's just so bad. In Nuremberg, I can remember Nuremberg. It was just a mess. I just wonder what it looks like today.
He watches a lot of movies that pertain to that time. Kind of bring back memories.
Is that something that you particularly enjoy to do? Watch World War II movies and,
Yeah, I
and
like to watch
books
it.
and things
Yeah,
like that?
I like to watch it.
Okay. When you got back from the war, what did you do in the first days and weeks afterward?
Well, let's see. I could go back to the Ford meter box where I worked before I went to the war, but they wanted me to go to college. Well, I was so glad to get home. I didn't want to go to college. I was ready to go to work, and so I worked for another place for about 5 years. And in 1950, I went back to Ford meter box. I didn't work there for about 35 years. That's where I retired from.
Okay. And what did you do there?
I was a machine shop.
Did you take any support from the GI Bill?
No.
Okay. How long after the war did you and your wife get married?
We got married in 46.
Okay.
46.
And
It'll be the same year I got home.
okay. Did you guys quickly start your family?
No, she taught school for a couple of years.
Okay.
And we started our family.
All right. How many children did you have?
5.
5? Okay.
4 boys and a girl.
We had 4 in about 6 years, and I got back to teaching again, and then we had another little boy. But he's 45 now, so. But then I got back into kindergarten.
Got back from the war, what did you do in the first days and weeks afterward?
Well, let's see. I could go back to the Ford meter box where I worked before I went to the war, but they wanted me to go to college. Well, I was so glad to get home. I didn't want to go to college. I was ready to go to work, and so I worked for another place for about 5 years. And in 1950, I went back to Ford meter box. I didn't work there for about 35 years. That's where I retired from.
Okay. And what did you do there?
I was a machine shop.
Okay. Did you take any support from the GI Bill?
No.
Okay. How long after the war did you and your wife get married?
We got married in 46.
Okay.
46.
And
It'll be the same year I got home.
okay. Did you guys quickly start your family?
No, she taught school for a couple of years.
Okay.
And we started our family.
All right. How many children did you have?
5.
5? Okay.
4 boys and a girl.
We had 4 in about 6 years, and I got back to teaching again, and then we had another little boy. But he's 45 now, so. But then I got back into kindergarten, was there for 25 years.
Okay. Where did you go to college?
Manchester.
Okay. While you were in the service, did you develop any close relationships?
At that time, they were all close, but they all live so far away now that I just never could get. I had one fellow come see me one time. He lived in Pennsylvania. That's about the closest that I knew of anybody living to me.
You get a Christmas card from somebody.
Oh, I get a couple Christmas cards each year from some of them, but
So that's the closest friend,
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
you still keep in touch with? Okay. Did you decide to join any veterans organizations when you
No.
got out of the service?
well, I was going to join the American Legion. I went down and joined, and I didn't like the reception I got, so I never went back again.
Okay. Do you think that your military experiences influenced the way that you feel about the military and about war in general?
I don't know how to answer that. I think war is necessary. I think, and I don't have anything against it. I wish we didn't have to go, but we just can't stand back and leave somebody take advantage of us, like they are now, I think.
Okay.
We had one son that was in the Korean? Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
That was hard on me. For a year I didn't get to see Donnie.
Mm-hmm. And through that experience, you still support the military and...
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. Are there any reunions for your unit in your
I have
time?
one every year,
Do you...
but they're always so far away that I've never gone to one of them.
Okay. If they had one close, would you attend?
I might have to be close,
Okay.
but they've always been so far away.
All right. And how do you think that your military experiences influenced your life afterward? Do you think something would be different if you hadn't been in the military?
I think I learned a lot in the military. And I had an awful lot of friends in the military.
Can you give an example of what you might have learned?
I don't know how to answer that.
Do you think that it made you grow up faster?
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Okay.
I'm sure it did.
Did you think it made you more regimented as a person afterward?
I'm sure.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to add to the interview?
Can't think of anything else. I'm sure some other things happened, but
Diane, can you think of anything maybe?
I'd written a few things down, but you could ask me.
It met at Washington, D.C. this year, and I kind of wanted him to go with this pan cup, but I never got the two of them together to talk it over, but I thought that was a very good experience.
I say during the end of the war, the Germans were running out of gasoline, and they're pulling all their guns with horses. And I've gone for miles and see dead horses along the road. Where I suppose our troops had shot them.
And he loved horses. I'm sure that was hard on him.
Mm.
I can't think of a...
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
I don't feel like I've done a very good job, but maybe I'll...
Oh, you've done just fine. Very well. Thank you.
No, I went through 3 years, so I'd be out when he got home. Not knowing when that was, of course, but.
Okay.
I've never heard the story about that.
Why are you so... Oh, no, don't worry about it. It will be on there, but it's not a problem.